Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Riva.
And I'm Kat Messina.
So today we're going to just go over the hidden curriculum and how to fight it on our podcast. So what we did is we researched the dominant culture, hidden curriculum, and how they affected students and how we can fix it in a classroom setting for both a history classroom and an English classroom. And we combined that research into a conversation to give the best information to the general public. And we recorded it, what we found, and posted it on YouTube. Uh, Hopes to reach the greater good.
So we chose to do this because we are both 4+1 education majors. I am a 4+1 English major, and Billy is a 4+1 history major. So we really wanted to do something that'll help prepare us for our future careers. So that being said, we decided to craft our content to a history and English literature classroom. We really want our audience to be history teachers and English teachers, as well as any teacher, because they will know how to they will become aware of the hidden curriculum and how to fix it, despite not being an English or a history teacher.
And so, how this relates to class, it mostly relates to how we talked about it in the first week of school with the hidden curriculum talk, and how we again talk about it or read about it in the MEPS book in chapter 11. Um, so, it is what drives our classrooms today and what inhibits us from being multicultural in most classroom settings, especially here in the US. And so it relates in two different principles, that being principle four, which acknowledges the build on the life histories and experiences of students and their own families through culturally responsive teachings. And principle five, which analyzes oppression and power relationships in school and society to understand racism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, ableism, and ageism, which is both found on 260 in the MEPS book.
So it relates to the first principle because our podcast really does try to give ideas that help a teacher to remember and keep in mind the cultural background of a student. So they really are taking into account their lives, their experiences, and what their environment might be at home. And the hidden curriculum tends to lose that. So our podcast and of making people aware of the hidden curriculum and giving people ideas hopefully amends that.
And for principle five, with the how it analyzes oppression, the power relationships, it directly contributes to what we're talking about with the hidden curriculum and how that is promoting a dominant white culture as opposed to all these other cultures and races that are quickly losing their own identity, unfortunately.
So for our content within our podcast, we make sure to identify hidden curriculum, which is the unspoken or implicit values, behaviors, procedures, and norms that exist in the educational setting. So it is what students are expected to do. It's never explicitly stated, but there is a habit that students expect and that teachers expect students to act a certain way. And this is affected heavily by the dominant culture. And in the US, the dominant culture is Western European, so there is a white privilege. Because of this, a lot of the other races and cultures found in schools in the United States tend to fall in the cracks. The hidden curriculum in the US expects students of different cultures to assimilate to the norms and behaviors of the dominant culture. And by result, they lose their sense of self because they are not represented in the curriculum. They don't know how to shape their cultural identity because their cultural identity is being thwarted because they're being forced to assimilate.
So we talk about in both classroom settings for the history and English setting. And so for the history setting, the classrooms and the lessons tend to leave out all the sides of a particular story. So and they only focus on the what the white man did in that historical event. So it leaves out all the other cultural stuff about other sides of the story, which mostly they lose. Which means that that cultural identity starts to lose themselves and lose their own identity and quickly start to fade away in time.
And similarly, in English classes, teachers tend to choose literature that expresses one perspective, and a lot of times it is the perspective of a white protagonist. And because of this, a lot of students can't relate to the book and they can't relate to the story of the narrator because they come from a different cultural background and because they have different perspectives on things because of that cultural background. That being said, I try to in the podcast, I try to give teachers books that they can use and how to intersperse them within the curriculum that provide different perspectives, different cultural backgrounds, protagonists of different races, protagonists of different cultures, which really help students to gain more perspectives and also to help students of other cultures feel more represented in the classroom.
And now we get on to the last part, which is all about reflections. And so right now we have about 12 views, but there are definitely going to be more. And since it is something online, it will always be there. And we are able to reflect on how the hidden curriculum presents is in the U.S. affects our future professions and prepare us to revise it. So we're able to think ahead and come up with different lessons and ways to amend the effects of the hidden curriculum. And for like a history class, I suggest that we should change the history textbooks to be more open to discussion and look at more sides of a story. But before that, teachers should definitely fill in the gaps where they are.
And for me, it helps me think ahead of how I want to structure my classroom and the content I want to teach and the unit plans I want to create and the books I want to use. It helps me realize that I am I am better prepared to teach to a classroom full of students of different races and make sure to make them all feel included and make sure to offer their perspectives. And like I said, give me lesson plans that I can use in the future as well.
And so the best part about this is that we're able to get the world out with the video, and and like I said before, it will stay on the video forever, which is always the best part
Yes,
about the internet.
yes, because people will always have access to it and people can happen upon it and learn something that they never knew before.
And hopefully things change in the future, and we'll be able to update everyone on the situation.
Yeah.
Signing off.
Thank you.